Welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to be ranking the 4 characters from Super Paper Mario. Now, this is going to be a shorter video because there's literally only 4 entries. But don't worry, it doesn't mean that it will be completely short, because there's a decent amount of stuff to talk about each character with. Now, obviously you need to use each of these characters for their abilities, but which one do I would just use normally? That's probably what I decided would put each character higher or lower. If I just would use the character casually, then that would probably put the character higher in general. But other than that, let's get started on the list. This is why you should just be at Bowser's Castle being captured. Number 4 is Princess Peach. Now, instantly I shot her at the bottom when I was trying to think of where to put each person on this list. Well, the other 3 characters I had a hard time putting. Princess Peach was so easy to put at the bottom. And it's mainly because there's no actual reason to use her casually. And you guys are probably going to be looking at me like I'm crazy. And don't get me wrong, I very much am. But I actually have some good points for why Peach is easily at the bottom. First things first, her abilities are just trash casually. Now, one of her abilities is just to float to other platforms with her umbrella. Now, I'm not really going to blame this on Peach, but it's just really annoying to control because you're literally using a Wii remote for it, and the buttons aren't super responsive. So because of that, it's definitely annoying to use this, but I won't actually charge that against Peach. But her shield ability or umbrella ability could be useful to some, but not for me personally. Now, it's pretty easy to use. You just tilt down and bam, you have the shield open. But you could just use Bowser's Flames to take out the enemies instead of just using a shield to delay it. That's where it's a bit iffy for me. Now, the other thing is that you use Mario for his flipping, you use Bowser for his flames and high damage, and you use Luigi because he's probably the best person to use for platforming. But what do you use Peach for? What does Peach do that makes her stand out? That's my problem, and that's also a really good reason I put her right at number 4. And this is never going to change for me personally. These top 3 were so hard to rank, but I had to put Luigi at number 3. Now, don't get me wrong, casually, I probably use him the most. He controls really well, and he's probably the best at platforming, like I said. Even better than Mario, which probably makes it really weird why I put him at number 3. But I think the reason for that is just his ability sucks. And all he does is that if you push down for long enough, he shoots really high in the air. Now, that's useful, but it's not just useful to use casually. Instead, you would just jump high because Luigi jumps the highest out of every single character. So it's not very useful just normally. So that's a really bad start. The other thing is that you get Luigi so late into the game. You get him at around 6-4, and 6-4 meaning the first time you get teleported into the underwear. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about 6-4. I've already covered that in the level ranking, but whatever. So Luigi is a great character to use casually, but since you get him so late and his ability just being awful, I had to put him at number 3, which is just really disappointing. Bowser is a really fun character to use for boss battles, and I think everyone just kind of agrees that Bowser is the character that you use for boss battles. And it's straight up because he does double damage. There's also another reason that deals with his ability, and speaking of his ability is awesome. He gets to breathe fire. Now obviously it does double damage, it doesn't do more damage than you just jumping on an enemy, but the reason why it's actually useful is 1, it targets enemies that have spikes or just can't get hurt by jumping, and 2, it has the range, where normal enemies can't really hit you unless they also use ranged weapons. It's very useful for taking on normal enemies, which is great. But I do have a couple problems with Bowser. First off, he's really slow, but since you get carry 3 levels after, I won't take that too much into consideration. But the main reason I don't have Bowser at number 1 is his hitbox. Now, obviously, in the normal Mario universe, he is the biggest character because he's Bowser, he's strong, it makes sense. And this is kind of a way to balance him because he does double damage, but he's more susceptible to actually taking damage by bosses and normal enemies because he's so huge, which isn't great for me personally, so I'd rather just use a character like Luigi or Mario. So that's probably why I don't have him at number 1, but I gotta say, Bowser 100% will never get replaced in this game. I mean, this is kind of the guy that is the star of the franchise. Mario is at number 1, and it's gonna be really hard to explain why, because it just seems so boring compared to the other characters. But the reason I had to put him at number 1 is that for me personally, he controls the most comfortably and fluidly and beautifully, which is so nice. Also, his flipping mechanic is used so much in the game, which I actually personally find a bad thing, that you have to have him on a lot of the time just to actually use it. Already a great thing for Mario. Not for the game, but a great thing for Mario. The other thing is that he has the smallest hitbox in the game. It's obviously very small with Peach and Luigi, but with Mario, he is the smallest, which makes it really easy to dodge enemy attacks, which is actually why I like using Mario over Bowser in bosses. There really isn't any other reason I would actually put Mario besides putting him at number 1. And that's why he's there. He controls beautifully, he's great to use for bosses, and he's really easy at actually avoiding attacks. And since this is a platformer and not a Mario RPG, this is going to be very useful. Thank you guys for watching this video. My next video will probably be on Super Paper Mario. I'm not really sure yet. Make sure to leave your ideas in the comments below. I'll probably have a comment saying, like, request some ideas. And yeah, other than that, make sure to subscribe. You made it to the end of the video, so you might as well. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.